And this is a mystery box.
Or the mystery box.
What's in the box?
Mystery box could be anything. It could even be a boat.
Hey everyone, how are you doing out there? I hope you're doing great. Today we're doing something a little different. This is the superhero box from Boxed Heroes. This is something that popped up on my Facebook feed and I couldn't resist. It tickled that addict bone in me that loves getting mystery boxes full of comic books and I don't know what's in there, and maybe it's good stuff and maybe it's not, but this immediately caught my attention because they were advertising that there was a shot at Amazing Fantasy 15, the very first appearance of Spider-Man. Cgc graded at 1.0, which is of course not very good, but it's Amazing Fantasy 15, like who has that? And I wanted it. So I placed an order for one, and then kind of randomly, a couple weeks later, I got a surprise bonus at work, and so I did what any self-respecting addict would do, and I bought another one. These were, with shipping and handling, around $400 per box. Way more than I would normally spend on something like this. I don't know if quarantine and the pandemic has got me a little wily, a little squirrely, but I did it, and I'm going to open them now on video, and we're going to see what we got. So we're hoping for Amazing Fantasy 15, but these were marketed as having at least 10 comic books in them, and all of them kind of like premium quality. It's guaranteed to have one Cgc graded comic in it, and in addition to Amazing Fantasy 15, there were some other pretty cool titles advertised. So even if we don't get a very cool one, there's still a shot for some pretty cool comic books. So, with that being said, we're going to open it. I will say this is a lot heftier than I thought it was going to be. So what do we got? Okay, right off the bat, we've got some Alien 3 collectible cards and some Bone collectible cards. I don't know what to think about that. That's not the first thing that I wanted to see in here. Some Boxed Hero stickers. Boxed Hero sincerely thanks you for your support. We hope you love the superhero box. And a pin. A little pin for Boxed Heroes. Up next, we've got in bubble wrap. My guess is that this is going to be the Cgc graded comic. But maybe not. We'll see. This is X-Men #1, Cgc graded at 9.8 and signed by Jim Lee. If you've watched a lot of the other issues, or I'm sorry, if you've watched a lot of the other videos, you know that I've already pulled a bunch of these, but none of them are in 9.8 shape, and obviously none of them were signed by Jim Lee. So it's not Amazing Fantasy 15, and it's honestly probably not even worth that much money, but I got to admit, it's super cool. I'm really happy with that. I actually like that quite a bit. So let's see what's next. Here we've got more cards. more trading cards, which is fine, I guess. Yes, now this has the heft of a few more comic books. More than one CGC graded book. So, let's see what we've got in here. Got a stack of stuff. Okay, so we've got The Boys, Dear Becky, trade paperback. Don't know what I think about that. I'm not a huge fan of The Boys. The Griffin from DC. The Griffin. Maybe we've got all 6 of this 6-issue run. Honestly, I have no idea. I don't know what this is. Yeah, I don't know if that's good or not. I'll be honest. This I'm ambivalent about, but whatever. It's popular. People like it. And here we've got another box that is hefty. So we're going to see what's in here. I like the way these are put in here. So I can get them all, most of them out. They're a little snug. This is the Midtown Comics cover of Civil War II, so a variant cover. And then what I'm going to try to do here, Daredevil 55. That's kind of cool, in really good shape. I like that. Some Silver Age Daredevil, Master of Kung Fu, Night of the Ninjas. Not quite Silver Age, but I mean, with the Master of Kung Fu movie coming out, this is pretty cool. I know I've got some of these that I've pulled out of the Old Man's collection, but I think they're all later than this. We've got The New Gods. DC. This is a title that I'm familiar with, but only vaguely. I know some really cool characters came out of The New Gods, but I couldn't tell you which ones they were. We've got Jupiter's Legacy #1. This is the new Netflix show. And I believe I might have seen something from Boxed Heroes that said every box was going to have one of these in it. So cool to see. Let's see. Amazing Spider-Man #1. Another variant. The Midtown Comics exclusive. Also in really good shape. Dr. Aphra from Star Wars. Venom, Lethal Protector. The first female symbiote. Hey, look at that. The origin of Captain Marvel in The Amazing Spider-Man. This is a really good one. Obviously, this is not Carol Danvers. This is the Captain Marvel that showed up in WandaVision. That's really cool. And then we've got, last but not least, Avengers vs. X-Men Round 12 Variant Edition, 2012 Champions. I don't know. I don't know what to do with that. And then that's it. That's it from the first box. So pretty cool. Again, I am not exactly bummed that Amazing Fantasy 15 wasn't in there, Because it's only, I mean, it's got to be a 1 in 1,000 shot of getting that, right? But still some cool stuff. I was especially, I know this was one of the last things that we looked at, but I mean, how cool is that? That's awesome. That's something, you know, I got this because I figured it would be full of comic books that would be really great in my collection, but I would never actively like go out and find and buy. And this is right there. This is something that, you know, it wasn't in my dad's collection. At least not yet, and we're not through all of those boxes. Maybe we'll find that in there. But this is still great. This is really cool. I'm super happy to add that to my collection. Now, we've got the second superhero box to open. So we're going to do that. And maybe this one will be the big winner, huh? I'm normally not a gambling man, so I have to admit this purchase was a little bit outside of my normal behavior, but we'll see if it paid off. I mean, at the very least, it's hopefully a cool video. More trading cards, Beetlejuice and Jack Kirby, The Unpublished Archives. I don't know what this is, but I love Jack Kirby, so maybe that's cool. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. Stickers, another pin, and the CGC box. Should we hold off on this one and do this one last? That's what I'm going to do. Now, my genuine fear here is that within this box is another X-Men #1 signed by Jim Lee. That's probably like the worst case scenario at this point, although I'm happy for fate to prove me wrong there and have something even worse be in there. But in the meantime, let's do the loose comics first. And we'll see what Boxed Heroes sent me. Okay, there's something loose in there. So I'm going to get these out like this. Set those aside. This is Superhero Happy Hour Volume 1. I don't know what that is. Looks like a more casual graphic novel, I guess. And within that box, we've got Wild Cards from Epic Comics. And it looks like it is, oh, Wild Cards and Terminator Endgame. No association, I assume, with Avengers Endgame. These are kind of cool. I wonder what that is. Wild Cards. Oop, I almost missed the same pack of trading cards that was in the other one. Okay. Here we go. In this stack, the Forever People, Action Comics 474 with Dr. Light. And you could be in the Superman movie. You guys see that? Star Wars, The High Republic. A different cover of Jupiter's Legacy, #1. I've got to say that the shape of these comics is, they're pristine. Dazzler #1. I know for a fact that I have this, although this is probably better shape than the one I have. Not that I'm a huge... Ooh. Hunt, The Dark Knight Frank Miller, Klaus Janson. This is cool. Again, this is something I would never purchase for my own collection, but I happen to get it. Oh, another variant of The Amazing Spider-Man #1. Hey, look at that. X-Factor #6, the very first appearance of Apocalypse. Tremendous shape the comic is in. This is a, not exactly a Grail comic for me, but I mean the fact that between my collection, the old man's collection, and I think even the parking lot collection, we've danced around this issue forever, and now we've got it. I'm pretty sure that this actually makes a complete run of X Factor for me. This is the one that I've been missing. Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, really happy to see that. And then the same exact Avengers vs. X-Men that we got in the other one. And the same Civil War II variant from the other one. Wonder if I just threw those into everything. No! The Cgc Graded Comic. Maybe within this box rests Amazing Fantasy 15. Nope. Venom #1. CGC 9.8 and signed by a lot of people. Yeah, we've got, this is signed and sketch by Sam De La Rosa, signed by Danny Fingeroth, Al Milgrom, David Michelin, Mark Bagley, Marie Javins, and Richard Starkings. So, as far as the CGC Graded comic books go, it was a little bit of a letdown. Cool to have for the collection. I don't think any significant monetary value there. But, I mean, signed by Jim Lee. I really like that. This is cool that it's signed by everyone. And it's got the little sketch. That's fun. I don't know if you guys can see that just because it's a holographic cover inside of a shiny case. But there's a little Venom sketch right there. And he drew it with like shiny ink too. So these are cool, but I'm going to be totally honest. That is what I was most excited to see in there. X Factor #6. The first appearance of Apocalypse. A comic book that I've been looking for a long time. And I've never really wanted to go out and just buy it. I always wanted to kind of either find it or open it in a super expensive mystery box of comic books like I did today. So, I think what I might do is actually go and price all these out, figure out what the retail of them is. Specifically, I'm thinking the Batman Hunt for the Dark Knight. I haven't seen what the Netflix series has done to Jupiter's Legacy, but I'd love to see, because I don't know, you know, some of these are variants. But yeah, I want to see what these are worth. And see if from like a retail perspective these were worth it, because I don't know. I had fun waiting for them and then opening them and dreaming about what it would be like to have an Amazing Fantasy 15, and I had fun seeing the comic books that I got. It was a blast. So I'm gonna go price these out now, and then I'll do a little addendum at the end here with notable standouts. So, thanks everyone, and hang tight. Hey everyone, I'm back. Truth be told, it's actually a few days later. I did price all these out right away, but then I got distracted with real life stuff, and it's taken me this long to get back to the camera, but here I am. And initially I was just going to go through the stuff that was kind of expensive, retail value, but I figure that's not the kind of collector I am, and if you're watching this, it is probably not what you're into exactly either. So we'll cover that, but I did want to go over sort of everything, and then do maybe like at the end a sort of was this worth it kind of exploration of the superhero box. So we'll start with, I think, the biggest disappointments, which were the wild cards from Epic Comics and the Griffin from DC. Both of these series priced out at around like $2 or $3 an issue. It doesn't seem like there's anything really cool or interesting about them. I don't know. So yeah, not super stoked about these. I might give them a read just to see what they are. But more than likely they'll go into the long boxes that I'm trying to sell to get rid of a lot of the fluff. Just on like Craigslist and OfferUp and that kind of thing. So we'll get these out of the way, and then we'll go into some more stuff. First, the comics that really didn't price very highly. So these variant covers of Avengers versus X-Men, and then also, let me see if I can find them in the stack that I've got here. The variant covers of Civil War II, as well as, kind of surprising to me, the variant covers of Jupiter's Legacy. I expected those to be a little pricier, but it could just be that this series came out sort of at the height of Mark Millar's popularity, and everyone knew that they might be expensive, so it could be that there's just a huge number of these out there. But they didn't price very highly. It's so cool to have them. I really like the Netflix series. I would recommend that you check it out. It does some cool stuff with like the superhero genre in general. But yeah, not super expensive from a resale value. And then the Civil War II and AVX variant covers. Again, I think this is just a popularity thing. There are a lot of these out there. You've got the Midtown Comics variant, and then the New York Comic-Con variant over here. So it is what it is. I don't have either of these, so I'll probably keep one copy of each, and then the other will go into the long boxes that I'm selling. And then we've got just sort of a collection of stuff that maybe was interesting, but just still not valued very highly. The Star Wars Dr. Aphra. This is the first appearance of a character, but I'm not reading the series, so I don't know. Actually, I think it says on the back here. Yep, Wen Delphus. So if you're a huge Wen Delphus fan, this is the comic book for you. And then you've got Star Wars The High Republic. I like them. I like Star Wars. I'll read these, and I'll keep them, but they're not like, huge popular books. Dazzler 1 could have been interesting because there is a sort of a variant copy of this, basically an error that was published with a couple of the pages in black and white. And so I thought maybe that was why they included this, that it was one of those errors. But it's not. It's just Dazzler #1, and it's like a $3 comic book, and it's not even in that great shape, so I was kind of surprised to see this in there. You've got the Forever People, and Action Comics 474. Very, low cost. I like the art, so I'm happy to see the art on these, but I'm not a Superman fan. I'm not a Forever People fan, so, and it's not worth a lot. Superhero Happy Hour, not worth anything. That was kind of silly. And then you've got a couple books that really aren't worth much, but were cool. Terminator Endgame and Batman The Dark Knight. I like these limited series from Dark Horse. This is older Dark Horse. Not super old. It's, 250, but I like these licensed properties that Dark Horse does. They're really cool. They do like the Aliens, Predator, Alien versus Predator. Those are some great books. And then obviously Batman Hunt the Dark Knight from Frank Miller, one of the most popular Batman series of all time. I don't have any of this series, so even though this one is in not great shape, you can see along the spine there, it's really creased. The color is broken, and it's a thicker book, so it might just be that most of these are like this, but still cool to have going into my collection, and happy to have it. But like I said before, not worth a lot. Then you've got The Boys, Dear Becky. Obviously The Boys, a huge streaming hit. Amazon, I think. Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I don't watch it. The trade paperback here, I think like $15, which is kind of common to see for trade paperbacks. What's interesting is this came out after the show. So you've got an introduction by The Boys showrunner, Eric Kripke. So if you're into that kind of stuff, cool. I'm not, so whatever. And then you've got not worth a lot, but very cool to see. Silver Age Daredevil, Master of Kung Fu, The New Gods. These are all in like the $5 and $10 ranges. But I just love them. I love the art. I love the characters. So these are great. And if you've been watching all of my series, you know that I'm pulling a lot of Daredevil stuff out of the Old Man's collection. This should fit in there because I don't think he has a ton in that Silver Age range. So glad to see these two. So that's nice. And now we get into the really exciting stuff. So first we'll do the two variant covers of The Amazing Spider-Man. These are both J. Scott Campbell covers. A pretty popular variant cover artist. I have some more of his work. This is also, I believe, like the first cameo appearance of Silk. Yeah. The thing here is that, again, this is something that there are a lot of out there. So, you've got the Midtown Comics exclusive, and then you've got the signed, fake signed, whatever it is. But even with that in consideration, these are both in the $50 range in really great shape, and these are in really great shape. They both have just a little bit of scuffing up here on this upper left corner, and then just a tiny bit on the bottom left corner, but everything else really good. Both of them would easily grade in the 9s, but probably mid to low 9s because of the way these corners look. So, but still, nice to have, and I'll be keeping them. They'll go in the collection. And now we've got individual issues that we're going to cover. And we're going to talk about the pricing of them a little bit. So the first one we'll do is Venom Lethal Protector, number 4. This is the first appearance of Scream, the female symbiote. I found a 9.6 copy of this listed at $200. This is not a 9.6. It may be a low 9, high 8. But I think it's still kind of neat, and especially with the new Venom movie coming out and more symbiotes being introduced to that universe, it's possible that we'll see Scream in an upcoming movie. And if we do, then the price on this has the potential to skyrocket. And what's been happening a lot in comic speculation is that those first appearances, they skyrocket and then they plummet. So we'll have to see what happens there, but I like it. This is an era of Spider-Man comics that I don't have a lot of, so happy to have this. This is great. Very cool edition. Now, not the most expensive, but as I covered in the first portion of the video at length, I think the comic book that I might have been the most excited to get out of this set X Factor number 6, the first full appearance of Apocalypse, because he shows up as a shadow in X Factor number 5. So this is something I've been hunting for a very long time. I always am buying comic book collections that are full of X Factor comic books, sometimes even the really early ones, 1 through 15, and then as soon as you get to 6, it disappears. It's just never in there because people know. And if they do any sort of research at all, they find this one. So this is another one. A 9.6 of this was listed at $250. I don't think this is 9 point anything shape. It's pretty good shape, but and the dings that I'm looking at here are so small that I very much doubt you would even see them on the camera. So I'm not even going to try. But it's not about the money on this issue. It's not about the 9.8 grade or the 9.6 or 9.4 or whatever. This one is about having it and it filling out that original X-Men series of X Factor for me, and completing that set. So super happy to see that once again. Now we'll do the Cgc Graded Comics. So I wasn't super excited probably when I pulled these out. So we've got Venom number 1. This is signed by a ton of people. It's got a sketch by Sam De La Rosa. It's signed by Sam. It's signed by Danny Fingeroth, Al Milgrom, David Michelin, Mark Bagley, Marie Javins, and Richard Starking. So these guys were all probably at the same show, and someone was going around with a bunch of 9.8s of this because there are a few listed. This is the only one I found that's signed by this many people. Now, I found another issue that was 9.8, that was CG Signature Series graded by like 3 of these folks, and that was listed at $200. So it might be worth more with all of the other signatures. The sketch might add a bit to it, but $200+ isn't bad. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. I don't have a ton of Signature Series or CGC graded comic books. I'm probably just going to hold on to it. I like that it's 9.8. I like that it's going to stay 9.8 because it's in the fancy case. So, yeah, that was great. And then we've got X-Men number 1, signed by Jim Lee. This, again, 9.8. I found these, there are a few of these out there. Usually they're listed at around $250, which was kind of interesting to see, just because, as I've covered in other videos, this is the highest selling comic book of all time. People thought this was going to be worth a fortune. And the only way it's worth basically any money at all is if you have it at a 9.8. A 9.8 with no signature, around $200, with the signature around $250. And then, I mean, if it's a 9.6, it's basically worth the cost to get it CGC graded. It's like $50, $60. So, nice to have, very cool. I love the X-Men, so having a 9.8 graded X-Men number 1, very exciting. This is actually probably something I'm going to try to find a frame for and hang it on the wall, because I love it. Even if it's not worth a ton of dough. Now, we've got one comic book left. I was a little surprised by this one. Not very. I knew it was going to be worth a lot, but you've got The Amazing Spider-Man Annual, number 16. The first appearance of Monica Rambeau, the second Captain Marvel. Monica Rambeau in the comic books was Captain Marvel before Carol Danvers was Captain Marvel. So I knew this one was going to be worth a fair bit because of WandaVision, because of the Marvels movie that was recently announced that will feature Monica Rambeau, Carol Danvers, and Kamala Khan, all women that have been Captain or Miss Marvel at one point or another, or sometimes both. But the only copy of this I found for sale was a 9.4 graded copy that was listed at $700. Now, I don't know if this one would grade that highly. There is a ding, a single ding on the spine here. The corners look pretty good. I have not opened it to look at the pages, so I don't know what the pages look like. But it's in really good shape. If it's not in the 9s, it's easily in the 8s. So I don't know what to do with this one. I'm obviously going to keep it. It's a very cool comic book to have, but it might be something that I explore getting graded. I've got a stack of comics that I want someone to look at to see what they would grade at. And this one will probably go on that stack. And the next time we're allowed to go outside and to conventions and whatnot, this will be probably on the top to see about getting it graded with Spider-Man 252 right underneath it. So that's it. That is everything I got out of the Unboxed Heroes Superhero Box. The big question, was this worth it? I've been struggling with that. It's one of the things that I've been thinking about as I was looking at the value on these, as I was looking at, you know, the quality in my collection, as it were. I mean, there were huge wins. There were some really big wins. Amazing Spider-Man Annual 16, obviously. The 2 Cgc Graded Comics, even though I'm not a huge fan of this Venom series. I think I've got this one in my collection somewhere, but it's all banged out. And then, obviously, X Factor number 6. Really happy to see that. But the reality is, I could have gone online and I could have bought this for a couple $100. That I probably wouldn't have bought, but that's kind of nice to get it anyway. I wouldn't have bought a CGC graded a copy of X-Men. I think my biggest issue here is going back to this stuff. And going back especially to wild cards and the Griffin. To basically fill an entire box, an entire portion of a $400 mystery box with what is essentially packing material, like, it's just, it's almost insulting. It's not quite insulting, but it's almost insulting. That being said, it was cool to open some pretty awesome comic books. So I'm on the fence. I'm not giving it a pro. I'm not giving it a con. If I had an extra $400 lying around, would I do this again? I think it would depend, again, on the quality of the slabbed comic books. These two were essentially the worst case scenario. That being said, it's not exactly a bad worst case scenario. I mean, monetarily, on the backs of Spider-Man Annual 16 and the slab comic books, I made back what I spent in retail. If I went and tried to sell all this stuff, I probably could make my $800 back. But from a personal fulfillment perspective, I don't know. I think it would depend. It would depend on exactly how disposable that $400 was and what the baseline slabbed books were. If they did another run of this and it was once again, you know, like 500 copies of Venom #1 and 500 copies of X-Men #1, I probably wouldn't. But if the baseline were maybe a little bit better than these two, I would be down. I'd be into it. And I would strongly encourage them to not do this stuff. Because that sucked. I'm not going to lie. I was actually, I'll be honest, I thought it was cooler that they included the trading cards than the Griffin and wild cards. So, yeah. That's it. That's the video. Pretty neat, right? Pretty fun stuff. If you guys liked this, leave a comment below, because there are other avenues to do this kind of thing. There are people that sell mystery boxes on eBay. There are other companies that sell mystery boxes. Yeah, if you liked it, maybe I'll give it another try. So that's it for this one. Thanks, everyone. Like, subscribe. I don't know. Do whatever.